Hi, my name's Katie. I'm from the Stove Network. The Stove is an artist-led project. We're interested in creating a new identity for Dumfries. We're promoting creativity as a means of empowering our community to become active citizens in creating the Dumfries of the future. The Stove is two things. We're a network and a building. As a network, we have a membership of over 400 people. It's a mixture of artists, local business owners, and people who really care about the town centre. This is our building. We're super proud of it. This is Dumfries. It's just across the street from us. Dumfries is a market town that's effectively lost its market. We have a population of nearly 40,000 people, with less than 1,000 people who live in the town centre. So the Stove formed as a response from a group of local artists who live in the area who are really passionate about bringing something out in Dumfries. The Stove's regeneration strategy, which appeared really quietly when I wasn't looking once, is about growing people. It's about growing events and activity, creating more footfall and opportunities for enterprise and retail in town centre. We're also about growing partnerships around physical projects. We're also a community development trust for Dumfries Town Centre. So we're thinking about what are all the alternatives to retail on a high street. So one of the things we're really excited about is conversation. So this is a project that was called Cultural Wayfinding, which started out as a way to explore how we could navigate Dumfries in new ways as tourists. This is Square Go. It was an active conversation event over 3 days out on the high street. We were asking people to get involved in thinking about the kind of key focus areas for Dumfries Town Centre, things like the river. Living on the high street came up quite a lot. I'll talk about that more in a minute, and transport, amongst other things. We're also interested in a creative high street that's a space for gathering. This is the food share event that we hosted, exchanging Scottish and Norwegian food recipes as part of a long-term project called Our Norwegian Story. Dumfries has got an amazing Norwegian story connection. It's worth checking out sometime in the future. Oh, I'm talking way too quick. That's lovely. One of our other gathering on the high street projects, this is Brave New Words. Brave New Words is an open mic platform. We hold it monthly, and we took it out on the street last November. We do this from time to time. It's kind of about encouraging people to really reclaim the high street, reclaim public spaces, think a little bit more about who the ownership of public spaces are and how we can encourage people to be part of sharing those, and as a community to really feel that they have a sense of ownership of those spaces too. We're interested in sharing skills, sharing ideas. This is Drawing for Enjoyment. It's run by a local art tutor. It's now up to 25 to 30 people a week come and have drawing classes. Lots of people with no drawing skills whatsoever, but it really just brings an extra energy onto our high street. This was a craftivism event that we ran in partnership with an organisation called MOOL. They are the Massive Outpouring of Love Refugee Action in Dumfries and Galloway. Really interested in making as a sort of passive skill in order to allow people to be part of conversations and to give opinions on things that they think they don't have enough of a voice in. This is Donut Lab. It was brought to us by one of our artists, making healthy donut alternatives and then figuring out how hard you've got to work to burn them back off. The chocolate paleo donuts have way more calories in them than a regular donut, but they taste good. We kind of got into quite a lot. Being based on the high street, we're really interested in the visual language of our high streets, and because a lot of the independent retailers have been kind of shoved out of small town marketing, what we've been left with is a kind of commercial branding and flat visual landscapes of high streets. So we really wanted to play with that as a creative organisation. We've kind of got into sign painting, and gradually we've grown from having no clue whatsoever about paint. I'm normally a sculptor. To sharing our kind of ongoing sign lettering conversation with lots of different people with various degrees of skill. We like to kind of place them around about town and have conversations with people through a kind of a passive visual language that's growing. This one's from the weekend. These are our youngest sign painters. They range from about 4 to 13. And we're having a conversation with them about how they can take back their park and their community centre on the edge of Dumfries as their own space. Climb trees is very popular. Lego, I don't know, it's very important too. Our slightly older group are called Blueprint 100. They are aged 16 to 30. They're young people, emerging artists, and students who are just really interested in being part of a conversation about our town. So this was a workshop they did with a local writer, placing language and visual identity around about near the job centre and various other places in Dumfries. I really wanted to talk about one of our main projects that's going on at the moment. This is a film called A House on the High Street. It's available on Vimeo. It was made by a local filmmaker, and it's a really interesting story in that it kind of is an example of a creative project. I wrote this down, it was really good, but now I've lost it. That looked at how one creative project could be a kind of catalyst for energy and within a town. So we screened the film, which is about bringing people back to live on the high street again, and it really riled up one of the last members of the population who lives on the high street into gathering together a group. They've since formed the Dumfries High Street Limited Community Company, and we've been running events with them, such as Chapter 1, which is looking at taking back part of the high street as a community-owned space. That's kind of, it's led by artists, but really encouraged. Lots of different people can be involved. We're looking at the different ways that a high street could be used, looking at enterprise incubators, maker spaces, and most importantly, how can we grow a community for our high street that lives there and cares about it. Some of the events that we got up to during Chapter 1, everything from the most amazing matchstick models that someone's kept in their attic for 30 years, to film screenings, conversations, and living room performance events, so on. One of the most important things that came out of Chapter 1 is the Dumfries Pledge. So more than, I think, 350 people at this stage have signed the Dumfries Pledge, which are people signing up to be wanting to be part of our new vision for Dumfries Town Centre. And it's one of the things we're really excited about, is how we can involve people, not just to say, yes, I agree with those things, but I really want to be part of them. I'm really interested in art, not just as a process for comment or conversation, but actually about creating collective change in our town. So thank you.